Welcome to another episode of Be Tailored, where today we're going to be working on the Teal 240. No surprise, because it's still not working. In my last video, I was a little vague about what had happened with the car and why it was running wrong, and what we exactly had found. So what we found, it's a really stupid problem, but when we pulled we couldn't figure out what was wrong. We checked the fuel pressure was great. We checked the TPS sensor. I had to reset that a few times because it was kind of playing around on me a little bit. What I also did was check the fluid levels, check the voltage going to the fuel pump. I mean, obviously we're getting great fuel, so I was just kind of at a loss of what was going on here. So we also pulled the MAF, and when we pulled the MAF, the AFR gauge would read stupid lean, 10s, and probably way below that, just dumping fuel in there. So I think it's a good MAF, because what happens is when the car starts up, after initial startup, it goes straight to lean about 17s and kind of fluctuates between 15 and 17. Mostly stays at 17, which is definitely not ideal for us. When you try to raise the revs up a little bit, the car would stay lean. It'll get a little better, but still be at like 16.5, 16, so no bueno at all. But anyway, what my friend and I decided to do is we decided, block the MAF with a piece of cardboard, so the intake. When he did that, the engine speed would raise up, and we were kind of baffled. We don't know why. So what we decided to do was take the cold pipe of the intercooler off of the throttle body, and what we found in there was a piece of styrofoam about like yay big, just blocking the throttle body open. It's a really stupid mistake to have, and something that we overlooked when we were installing all these parts. We have new radiator, new intercooler, and the only part of the intercooler, or the only part that came with any kind of styrofoam like that, would be the intercooler, obviously. So just make sure you take your time with that stuff. It's a really stupid problem to have styrofoam in your intake because we're in a rush to kind of get things going. It's nobody's fault. It's a really stupid situation to have, and I'm really frustrated about it, but moping about it's not going to do anything. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to compression test the motor and see if the valve seats are still good, because that's the only other thing I could think of. If the valves aren't seating because there's styrofoam in there, then that's obviously our reason why, and we have a big, long journey ahead of ourselves. But we can always hope for the best. So let's get to it. So I've actually had to rent or borrow a compression tester so many times that I just finally decided to buy my own. It's nothing fancy, nothing expensive, but it should just give us a reading of whether or not the valves are staying closed, because if we get no compression, then I'm willing to bet that the valves are open, and that's our main problem. So as long as it reads something, that's good enough for me. I should iterate that I might be a little OCD about this. I'm just really worried that the styrofoam is going to somehow damage the motor that we only have about 10,000 miles on. So my friends seem to think that the styrofoam should burn out pretty easily. I guess I'd just rather be safe than sorry is all. Oh, it's really good, guys. We're at about 140 for the first piston. That's not a bad number at all. Let's see what the other ones are sitting at. Oh, it's a little lower. It's 120. Okay. It's at 120 as well. So that's a really good thing. We have one more cylinder to do, so can't get our hopes up yet. That's That's a good number. We're at 140. So, everything's sealed up. There's no valves open. There's a bit of a compression difference, which isn't a good thing at all, but pretty sure it was like that after the build, and I've just kind of been running with it. So, the compression numbers aren't crazy low, so it's not enough for me to render tearing the block apart. I mean, I would if I was made of money, but this is a budget build, so just have to do the best with what we have. But good numbers, really excited about that. I'm not sure what else it could be. Maybe potentially a tuning issue. I'm not sure if when the ECU got fried, if the tune was wiped out, or maybe when the ECU was repaired, maybe it was wiped out. So I'm gonna contact Martin and ask him about it and see what he says. But really happy with these results. Now that I know the compression is okay and there's nothing in the cylinder head itself, I took a look inside the fuel injector holes and didn't see any kind of debris or anything like that. The valves looked okay. I'm kind of tempted to take it for a ride and see how it does then. See if the AFRs drop when I'm actually driving it. Probably not any kind of wide open throttle pulls or anything like that. Just see how the car reacts. See if it changes up from that 16, 17 AFR at idle into maybe a richer state while it's driving. So we'll give it a try. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to be filming because I'm going to be quite occupied with what my AFR is doing and what everything else is doing. So I apologize in advance if I don't get any footage of the car actually rolling. Well, I just got back from taking the car for a little spin, literally around the block, and this thing is kind of violent. It shakes a lot, but the good thing is the AFR seem to drop down to normal once I'm driving. It's not staying in the lean range, and it only drops down to like 16 lean when it's at idle. So I mean, I think it might be okay to drive this thing around, maybe? I don't know. I'm gonna give Martin a message anyway and see what he thinks. This car shakes so bad. The polyurethane mounts, I think, is what like really causes the upset. And the fact that this car needs alignment, the fact that this car has a welded diff, makes it like kind of a mess to drive. So it needs an alignment bad. The welded diff I can't do anything about. I mean, I could, but this diff has 5-bolt shafts, and then Carroll has 6-bolt shafts, so I'd have to do a little swapping. I guess I could swap the half shafts out, but I don't know, guys. It runs, it drives. I think it's time to get this thing registered after we put on our bash bar. You know, I talked about bash bars before, how important they are, how you should never run without one despite your intercooler clearance problems. So I got a little surprise for you guys. But just in case this is the end of the video, let me know if you guys have anything you'd like to see, have any comments or suggestions. Please feel free to leave them down below. I always look forward to hearing what you have to say. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that red button and stay along with the build. And if you got anything out of the video, make sure you hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.